the only way to start your day.
In places where you're just living. And so we got into a conversation this hour, but not buttressed on that, buttressed on some of the other things that we've seen happening around us that maybe you haven't taken notice of, but they're forming a bit of what we're calling a pattern. And it's an unfortunate one that we're going back into the place whereby many Kenyans thought as though they were safe from. And that's the issue of security. How safe are we right now? And we'll come into that in just a minute after I tell you that our two guests this hour are Kaunda Frederick, who is the Deputy Chairperson of the Revolutionary Youth Council for the Safina Party, here this morning. Good morning, Frederick.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Also joining us, human rights defender Sophie Muguru in Czechia is here as well. Sophie, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana, how are you doing?
I'm good. And yourself?
Fine, thank you. Good to have you in the room this morning.
Thank you.
Welcome. We're going to welcome you to today's show with today's proverb. Dennis will tell us where we are this week.
Yeah, so we are in Benin, right? And when you talk about Benin, so in the 17th and 19th century, there's something amazing that happened in Benin. So they had these military men of women called Dahomey Amazons, and at the time, their role was to take care of the kingdom, and it was purely women. So today we talk about 2/3 majority in Kenya. It happened in the continent, All we need to do is just look back and ask ourselves, how did they manage to do it? But even as we talk about it, they call white gold. It's not white gold, but cotton in Benin. Today, as we speak, the president declared just the other day that they are the biggest producers of cotton in the continent. And the cabinet minister who was tasked with that broke down in the National Assembly because he had achieved that which he had set out to do. Just a few things about Benin. But let's go to the proverb. The one who questions never loses his way. Let's go first. How would you interpret it?
I'd say it's just prudent to have a teachable spirit and that you don't know everything. So even as a leader, you have to learn to be the last to speak, to be the most quiet in the room, so that you're able to hear what others have in their heads, and acknowledging that you don't know everything then allows you to have what we call inclusive leadership, in my opinion. Yeah.
Kaunda.
The one who questions never loses the way. First of all, life in general is a learning experience. So it's our duty to be able to learn more than even to react. So we are supposed to learn more. We are supposed to listen mostly than even to react. So I feel like this journey is, you have to question so that, you understand it better.
Yes. Yeah, true.
Absolutely. One of the only ways to know is to ask.
Yes.
I guess. And we shouldn't ever get tired of knowing just that. Let's look at a situation. Thank you for both, of course. Let's look into a situation that is worrying and where we've not been able to put the pieces together until clearly over the last couple of weeks a pattern has formed and we didn't realize that this is actually what was happening. But I'll start with a couple of stabs. Karatina businessman shot 4 times, according to an autopsy. Karatina businessman George Gathu was shot Sunday, and this was just last week, by a police officer after an altercation at the Ruby's petrol station in town, and he died from multiple perforating gunshot wounds. Results from a post-mortem conducted on Wednesday at the Karatina Sub-County Hospital morgue showed that the 40-year-old man was shot 4 times with 2 bullets striking his chest. That's one. All right. So in terms of whatever caused this altercation, I'm not quite sure, but the end result is that now we have an unalived George Gizu at the hands of police. Before that, we saw the disturbing images of young men who were shooting pool in Nandi County, and the police then did come and actually rough up quite a number of them. The reasons as to why they did this is still very unclear to a lot of people, and we're not quite sure exactly what happened, but that then made its rounds, and guess what? That story has kind of died, and nobody's asking questions in terms of what happened that would cause this, and was there reasonable cause as to why the level of violence that we saw against these young men happened in the manner that it did. There are 2 posters that are out currently. One of them is asking for justice for Billy, who was shot and killed, again, by police. Another poster is asking for a prayer for justice for Moniko. Again, shot, not by anybody else, but by police. And these things that we are talking about have happened within the span of a month. 30 days. January is not even over yet. Yeah. And these things have happened. There's something that's forming, and then we're forced to ask the question that, are we safe with our security? The one place that you should be able to go to when you are under threat or even under fear of a threat seems to be the one place that's taking life unwanted, and nobody's asking questions. All right, before we even planned to have this conversation, and even after that we planned to have this conversation, we saw what we saw yesterday when police, again, in a place where should be a place of hallowed worship, whether politicians should have been there or not, their children then who had to run for their lives, who had to be under the choke of tear gas. Can we see what's going on here? The question is, have we gotten back to the place where, and words that are being used to describe police this morning is rogue, unwanted violence, unanswered questions. Kaunda.
Yes.
What's going on?
First of all, it's very, very sad. It's a very sad day for myself as an individual to witness how our future is being shattered because of political interest, political scores, and how the police service that was supposed to protect the citizens is not doing the rightful job. Looking at people fellowshipping at the church yesterday, the only thing they had to do was just to go to see God and to worship and to pray. But what they got was tear gas, was live ammunition fired at them. If you look at them, if you look at the people who are firing at them, not all of them were in police uniforms, mixed with goons. And the same government is calling young people terrorists who are dressed nicely in suits, who are dressed nicely when they are trying to picket and protest matters their rights. So it's very, very sad that after all these evidences being displayed on our digital platforms, still they take a lot of time to address such matters. We are even asking ourselves, is there any competency in the current CS? How is such things happening in this country and they're not even spoken about? They're not even addressed immediately. These police officers were supposed to even be arrested and arraigned to court as soon as possible. And these are the ways that we could have been able to fight against such reoccurring items. If you look at even the guy who was shot in Karatina, George Gadu, we are expecting the police to even handle it professionally. Right. They were supposed to ask, they're supposed to investigate before using ammunition on any citizen in this country. I'm even wondering, I'm even sympathizing with the young people. Are they going to have that negotiation with them, or are they going to just be shot as the way Kipchumba Murkomen, the CS said, wapige risasi, and he never apologized on the same,
Never retracted that.
He never retracted. He said, wapige risasi, and that is very wrong. After 60 plus years of independence, are we still colonized yet? Because what is happening in our country is very bad, and we cannot support, and we'll always fight for justice.
I want to tell you what. You see, it is not a question of whether we trust them or not. I'm going to give you a personal experience. I remember back in the days, there's a reason why I don't party. There's a reason why every birthday of my own, I'm always indoors, Yeah. It was at a time when a cousin of mine was taking me out to go enjoy a birthday, 25th of December, Christmas. I'm a Christmas baby. But in the CBD, I was picked up by cops simply because I was just walking. I was picked up. I spent 2 days at Central Police Station. I was never processed. I had to leave that place with 40,000 shillings for me to walk. I hadn't done anything, but I was picked up by police officers who did not bother to know what I was doing.
Yes.
The CBD, because they said I was loitering. They said I was drunk. I don't drink. That's the country we live in. And I'm not talking about today. That's almost 10 years ago. Now, today we're talking about police to investigate. Which investigations? You shot someone at the back. They're gone. It is after the fact. We're talking about people, tear gas, live bullets being shot at a church. What mistake did they do? Whether politician was there, whether they agree with the regime that there is or not, That is not the way to handle situation. You go back to Gen Z demos that you saw in the country.
Yes.
People died. What did they have in their hands? A flag and a bottle of water. We live in a country where, personally, today, if you ask me if I believe in reporting to police station, I'll tell you no. No, I'm not sure that I'm safe to go to a police station today to report a story. But that's just my personal story.
Yes.
Young people, Kenyans, do they look at police officers today, Sophie, and say, if I have a problem today, I'll go to police officer X and that they will attend to me and justice will be delivered?
You see, in the eyes of the citizens, the policeman is above the law. So if you want to do anything illegal in Kenya, work your way into becoming a policeman, then you're going to get away with literally anything. First of all, it is important to note that the trust between the citizens and the policemen is completely broken. There is no trust between the citizens and the police. The police come onto the citizen in plain clothes, armed, with live bullets. Bullets that have life-changing injuries. For instance, Rex died from being shot in the leg. That is a directive the president himself gave and said, shoot them in the leg. Rex died from being shot in the leg. We have police officers who know. Murkomen again said that they will be protected by the highest
represent them in court.
office, and the highest office will look after them. So the policemen in Kenya have gone rogue to the extent that the Deputy Inspector General has been implicated in a murder, and to date, he is the influencer for the National Police Service because he shows
war
up.
on drugs.
He shows up on each of their posters wishing us Merry Christmas, as if we're very happy to see his face, and to us is the face of impunity. Let me tell you something. We are not safe in the house. We are not safe in church. We are not safe outside on the street protesting. My question would be, Murkomen comes out and says, we have given a directive to the Inspector General to investigate. First of all, let it be known to him that nobody gives directives to the Inspector General. According to the Constitution, he is an independent person, so you cannot direct him. Number two, the president he is the chair of the National Security Council. Mm-hmm. So he cannot come out and say that he doesn't know that police, armed plainclothes policemen went to a church yesterday and killed a 5-year-old boy. He cannot say that he is oblivious of the fact that there is a cop who killed somebody in Karatina. He cannot come out to tell us that he is not aware that police are terrorizing the youth. And let me tell you something, it is by design. Think about it. Finance bill conversation will be coming up soon.
Soon, yep.
They're supposed to give us their propositions by next month, right? We're supposed to start deliberating on them. So why do you think they're constantly attacking young people who are gathering, having a good time, resting, playing pool? Because they're scared. Those are the moments where we have the conversations. Those are the moments where we organize and say, aya, come up at tunabeba ufala. So they are constantly curtailing places where young people are going to have conversations. And in fact, they're preparing us for 2027, because if we have young people disappearing one by one and nobody is having a conversation about that, nobody is being held accountable, then young people, vocal people like us, will begin to disappear and nothing will happen to those people. They will stay in office, they will be protected, and Kenya, the democratization of this country will be curtailed courtesy of the cops. He's talked about the colonial times. The policemen used to be called ngatis. What was their work? To ensure that fear is reinstated in the homes, in the villages, that you cannot stand up for your rights. And that is exactly where we are going to today. This government is going to use the security agents to come against us so that we don't vote, so that we don't come out to say Ruto must go, so that we don't come out to exercise Article 37. But news to him is that you can only oppress us to a certain extent. What happens if the citizenry becomes tired? You can't tell us we don't know where these policemen live. They live amongst us. They buy vegetables from the same mama mbogas we buy from them. They take their children to the same schools where we take our children. So what happens if the citizens begin to retaliate? What happens? The country becomes ungovernable. Do we then ask the question, are they pushing us for the country to become ungovernable so that we don't have an election? Are they pushing us so that they come out with a state of emergency and say, Kenya is ungovernable, there's civil war, so we can't have an election? We're not fools.
I see what you're saying. And as we have that insight then comes clear, because when we think about the things that we see that we're not able to connect, and that it's very clear that a narrative has been formed and it's going to be practiced whether you are aware of it or not.
Yes.
Albert Ojwang died in May last year,
Yes.
in 2025. And we're coming around to about 3 months, 4 months to that time, and it's going to be a year. And though people are in jail, there's a trial, pre-trial, it's clear that, nobody's in a hurry to figure this out. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, is it that these are secluded incidences? Are they different? Is there can you say that there's an overall feeling here, or that there's an overall practice that the police, as Sophie is saying, will be used to curtail the minds, thoughts, and opinions of Kenyans? Or is it just isolated incidences?
Basically, it's not isolated incidences. This is like a way the government is trying to instill fear on the citizens. And they're expecting us to agitate and to be aggressive on them. Because one, if we continue seeing such cases, if now we are seeing young people are being killed on broad daylight, what is expected of us as leaders is to fight for their justice, as the way we have been doing. So as we continue doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, that gives us the power to even fight back. And our main agenda is to even regroup as the young peoples of the country, so that we can even do our constitutional right to vote them out come the general election. The police, they're doing a very sad thing on the citizens of the country. And it's very, very sad that now when you go to report a case, for an example, in a police station, you are told at tuweke mafuta, tuweke pesa ya mafuta. How can you tell someone who's coming to report a case and the office is funded, the station is funded, akweke pesa ya mafuta, and on the other end,
is that still a reality that's still happening today?
It's a reality. It's a reality. It's a reality that Kenyans don't get justice unless they push it, unless they protest for it.
Or pay for it.
Or pay for it.
Okay.
And the people who pay for it are the people who oppress people.
When you talk about kuweka mafuta, the cabinet secretary again said, mwananchi ukienda pale, wewe kama mafuta so that you get justice.
Yes.
But you see, this is not, it's something that has happened over time. As citizenry as well, you don't have a choice. You need justice. You need police to work. You are desperate. They will take advantage of that. And Sophie, as we talk about being pushed to the ledge, today you speak to Kenyans on the streets, just have a conversation. People will tell you that they're tired. So whether Kenyans wamefika mwisho, one would say people are tired. They are at that wall, and it's about time that they will start pushing back, because what else do you want to? Kenya ni home, and Kenya is my business. That's pretty much what he said out there. And that it's only a matter of time until when citizens will have to protect themselves. I'm sorry, because like what happened in church, what do you expect that Kenyans in places of worship will do? People will hire their own private security. It is sad that citizens will have to fight police simply because police are no longer trusted to offer security as enshrined in the Constitution. Even if Rigathi Gachagua was in the wrong, assuming he was on the wrong, there are ways prescribed in the Constitution on how he should be picked up, processed, and brought before a court of justice. In Kenya today, police have remained to be a preserve of the elite, have been a preserve of the leadership of the country. despite the fact that it is Wananchi who fund the police, who pay the police, who pay the president. How do we get out of that? Because Wananchi, at the end of the day, is tired.
That's true. First of all, I'm on record as amongst the biggest critics of Rigathi Gachagua. But on this one, honestly, I'm like, this guy is a Kenyan citizen. He has freedom to assemble. He has freedom to worship. He has freedom to be followed by whoever feels they need to follow him. So the fact that the president is raining terror on him, is it to say that he is not allowed to move in Kenya and talk to the people and get people to his side? I mean, Ruto was allowed to campaign for 4 years straight, every single day, whilst on our payroll as Kenyans. He was deputy president of this country and he campaigned for 4 years. Safe to say that when he became president, then he came out and said in his inauguration speech that the way he will come up with an agency to investigate state capture and the extent of police brutality on people. He went ahead to say the way he will not use political and security machinery to come against his political opponents. But the ink had not even dried. Sufuria maandamano, they were caught and they were tear gassed and people died on that day. Gen Z come up and we have a conversation around our future and we are killed. Kware murders, same thing. That guy escapes in one of the most prominent police stations in Kenya, Gigiri. I mean, how can you escape from Gigiri just like that?
Yeah.
The way it has high walls and like... And then we have Githurai. You know, we don't even talk about Githurai enough. June 25th, 2024, very many people were unalived in Githurai courtesy of the police. And I was there. I was just getting to Githurai on my way home, and that is when the gunshots began. And you could hear gunshots from as far as Thika Road. You're on Thika Road and you're hearing straight for around 10 minutes. Ta, 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 ta. You don't tell me all those bullets were going in the air. I mean, Bridget Njoki, a 12-year-old, was killed by a bullet that went into the air and got into their house. And that is how she's not alive today. We have the likes of Isaiah Muraguri. He is still working at Central Police Station and he is seen on CCTV shooting Rex Masai. I mean, you go to Central and the guy is there and you feel so infuriated. I mean, my question you have asked, what is it that we should do? Number one, that will get to a point where the citizens will make this country quite ungovernable, especially for the police. It seems they will all have to move to State House at this point because they will not be able to live amongst the citizens. Number two would be to ask the mothers of this nation. You have brought up your children with so much trouble. You've sold your pieces of land to take your children to school. Dek Muniko was only 23 years old. He had no wife. He had no child. He was waiting to join the KDF. You have brought up your child until he's 23 years old, and then he is unalived by the police. Let us talk about Article 49 all the way to Article 51. They talk about the rights of arrested persons. They talk about our right to a fair hearing. They talk about our right to be able to be taken care of even when we are assumed to be criminals. So what justification do the police have? Have they been given a right to met violence on the people they presume to be criminals? Have they been allowed to walk around in plain clothes and masks? No, the Constitution does not allow that. We saw even on the streets, some of us were trying to unmask those police officers because they're not supposed to be in masks. They're not supposed to operate in plain clothes. Why are we having such a country? Why is our country ungovernable? And I'm calling the mothers of this nation to wake up and to join us in petitioning this government to end police brutality. Because they're the ones who know the pain of raising their children.
Or the pain of then having to wake up every day.
The mother who lost her 5-year-old child yesterday. Who is going to talk to that woman and comfort her to allow her to accept the fact that she's a Kenyan? She's lost a 5-year-old. It takes so much to raise a child, even to 5 years. They're gone. They'll never come back. Bridget Njoki's mother said, my child will forever be 12.
Absolutely. And here we are with then the CS that you speak of, Kaunda, who then said yesterday, well, I've gone ahead and I have conferred with the Inspector General of Police to go after the perpetrators. What does that mean? What does that mean?
That tells us how we are being portrayed as fools. How can a whole years of interior give such a sentiment? That's an order. He's supposed to make an order for those people to be arrested, or for any justice to be made for the families that got affected by the police that were on ground that yesterday. For me, I feel like we're supposed to do reforms in our police, and
They did.
No, the reforms you're talking about is police is a service, health is a service, education is a service. But if you compare health and education, you'd find that they have a people's-based board that does an oversight and guides the service itself. Our police force should also have a people's-based board, and we should be in a position whereby these OCPDs, they're being elected by the people of that jurisdiction. So that accountability is made. In Kenya, if a police does wrong, for an example, the ones we saw in Odaya, the next thing we are expecting is to hear they have been transferred either in Garissa, either in Turkana. That is not the way we are supposed to fight justice in this country. If someone is on the wrong, whether you're a police, whether you are a military officer, you are supposed to be arraigned in court as soon as possible and be jailed.
Do you think that's possible if we're coming from the place where many people, people have written books about it, people have written journals, publications are running rife about how we want to democratize, we want to modernize, we want to move to a different place, but we still have the very functionalities of nationhood and nation building steeped in colonialist behavior or practice. And this is not just in Kenya, by the way. It's an argument that is being spread around the continent.
Yes.
That is it possible actually for us to really be decolonized if we are still using the same practices? And one of those is the security apparatus in the police, whereby it was ingrained in the minds, and this is not conjecture or feeling a certain way on a Monday morning.
Yes.
It was ingrained in the minds of those who took up these positions in the security forces that your job is to beat the hell out of this person and to
Correct.
make sure that they do what you say
Yeah.
or what the ruling position wants. That is a very difficult thing to destructure from the mind of an individual. Doesn't matter where you are, but if you've been conditioned to imagine, I'm going to go to Kiganjo, I'm going to learn a certain thing, and then when I come out, it is a system. I'm getting into a system, and that is not to say, look, I've met some stellar policemen and women. I've met some absolutely amazing men and women who are police, who believe that actually their job is to maintain law and order, to maintain the peace and to protect the citizen. They believe that and they practice it. But unfortunately, adage is that it is one apple that spoils the bunch. It is not a bunch of apple that spoils each other. It's one apple that spoils the bunch. But there's the mindset. So is it necessary to deconstruct that mindset to then get us to the place whereby the civilian who is in front of you is not the one that you should point your gun at?
So that goes back to, we can't compare ourselves during the colonial days. The literacy level, as compared from the colonial days to now, people have gotten education, people are learned enough to understand that our constitution protects us from this and this and this. So first of all, for us to ensure that our society is safe, we can even see our police in a different kind of way. We have to even try to even compare ourselves with Finland police, which is one of the world best police service, which it takes us even back to what is the training that is happening in Kiganjo. Are they wasting governmental resources there? Is it a training of height? How tall are you?
How well do you see?
How aggressive do you look? we are supposed to look back on a training whereby the government should invest in high-end training, whereby it's not about height, it's not about police are the lowest performing students in the country. They're supposed to even be the most intelligent students, because this is a matter of emotional intelligence. It's not a matter of just seeing Dennis here and thinking because Dennis is a young person, he's a thug walking in the evening. You know, the police are attacking young people, and they have a mindset of whereby wakiona tu kijana, the first thing they think, this is a thug. This is a thug, or this is someone who's doing something wrong. And it has reached to a point whereby now, even when we speak as leaders, they have the right, wanakushika, they put even drugs on your pocket, and they still say, you're carrying drugs. And the drug barons in this country are living large. What is happening?
You know,
ukiangalia vijana wenye wanaitwa wezi, we went from Mandamano recently, and what happened to the young soldiers, the young Gen Zs who are fighting for the economic freedom? They were called terrorists. They were called terrorists. Do you know, a terrorist is not just a normal word you can call someone who has gone to university, someone who a whole community raised fees for them to study. Unamuita gaidi, because they are fighting for their constitutional right. And then the real terrorists, look at Jubaland, nothing is happening. The leaders in Northeastern are not talking about what is happening in their areas, because the people there, they don't get enough education to speak out what is happening in their areas. But right now we are saying this journey has started and is not ending anytime soon.
Sophie, we live in a country where a police will pick you up, or someone will just come to your door and said it is orders from above. We talk about police reforms, and police reforms is something that happened in this country, and we saw it during the Kavuludi days, you know, from force to service. We saw all the interviews that went through into this country. Heck, they even changed their uniform to just give us a new face of police, a police that would be approachable. But we have consistently gone back to the old days where one would say Nijeshi Amze. You know, someone is working at the behest of the president, not at the behest of Mwananchi. You know? And we find ourselves at a point where you meet a police and what you want to do is turn and go the other way. Many Kenyans today meet police on the road and first of all look at, what am I carrying? Nimetakin, you know. Simply because there is no trust in the country between the police and the Mwananchi. And in such a scenario, it is very difficult even to deal with crime in the country, because Mwananchi, who should be your first source of intelligence, who should tell you what is happening in their locale, who should come to you to make your work easy, will always run away, because you have created a scenario where you cannot be trusted. But then again, let's talk about the political class. We talk about political class that go into these rallies, they do their thing, and the next thing you see is the security officers, instead of arresting, they're easy to brandish their guns and shoot people, shoot in the air. And one asks the question, who bewitched us? Because at the end of the day, we must find a solution, because people will push back. We see that happening. You speak to young men in the streets and someone will tell you, I will sit here, police come, they will atakuja vibaya na mimi nitakuja naye venye amekuja. These are conversations. People are willing to fight for the police. Why aren't police just respecting the rule of law if they are to maintain law and order?
I think the fish rots from the head. So if the head is compromised already, and case in point, DIG is compromised already, he's rogue, he can do whatever he wants. Case in point, Murkomen tells you you'll be protected by the highest office in the land. What will really push you to maintain the rule of law? What will really push you to work to protect the citizens and not yourself? Number two, the one who feeds you controls you. So the police are deliberately kept poor so that they can be fed by the state, so that they can see the state as their god, and then they are able to work for the state. My friend here has just asked what happens in Kiganjo. I think they are normally just taught how to collect bribes. Because in Kenya, the police, all they do is stand by the roadside and pick money from matatu operators. I even wonder what the Matatu Association wants to do with that kind of thing in the police. But if we are really to say how we are moving on from here, then, number one, we have a military in this country. And that military's role is to protect the citizens of Kenya. We have a civilian oversight body. IPOA is supposed to be, according to the IPOA Act, number 35 of 2011, IPOA is a civilian oversight, civilian. But IPOA today is filled with ex-policemen. How do you expect an ex-policeman to oversight a current policeman? If they begin to oversight the current policeman, then their time will also be checked on what did you do. So they cannot. That is exactly why IPOA is a toothless dog. Because it is filled with ex-policemen. It is filled with loyalists of the state. The person who is the chairperson of IPOA today, he has not said a single word about the fact that we have lost more than 7 lives since the 1st of January 2026. We have not seen him address the media. We have not seen him address. And then if you go to the police station, because like on Saturday, we occupied Makongeni police station for Dek Muniko's case, the police will tell you they cannot investigate themselves.
I'm sorry?
The OCS will tell you that he knows the people who went to Dek's apartment, but he cannot do anything because he is not mandated to investigate and oversight himself.
Sophie, let's just go back just a little bit. These are words that you heard said to you?
I was there.
They said what exactly?
He said he knows because the policeman who went to Dek's apartment came back with 2 policemen, with 2 civilians who they had arrested. So for you to book somebody you've arrested, you must be known where you had gone. By the station. So the officer commanding station, his name is Mr. Njoroge of Makongeni Police Station, categorically said to us that he cannot do anything. His hands are tied. Why? The case is with IPOA, the case is DCI. He cannot do anything because he is not mandated to investigate himself and to oversight himself. So who is
but
mandated?
He could be aware of the person
he
who
knows.
has taken
He
Dek's
is
life.
fully aware who did this to Dek. But his justification for not doing anything is it is beyond the protocol that stands on him.
You know, Sophie, police stations have something called internal affairs unit. An internal affairs unit is a responsibility within that specific police station jurisdiction to report a matter for investigations to start within. So that was a lie.
That was a lie.
They would do something about it.
He
if
can.
They wanted to.
He can.
A police officer can arrest a fellow police officer and report that police officer as well. So it's a lie.
They lied. Exactly. So what is the role of IPOA here? Why do we give IPOA billions of shillings annually? What are they doing? Is it about time then as citizens we will need to occupy IPOA offices and remind them of their mandate to the citizens of this nation before we start retaliating? First, we will need to deal with the person who is mandated to take care of us in terms of investigating the police officers. Will it then be mandated on us as citizens? You know, we have been called terrorists. And the good thing about a terrorist is they don't care whether they are going to die or they are going to live. They go to war knowing there is the possibility of death. So even if we're seated in our houses and we can die, why then not take it to them? Because it seems at this point then, the police are more inclined to protect. And I'm just asking, 2027, as we approach, we have seen what has happened in Uganda. We have seen what has happened in Tanzania. Heck, the president of Tanzania had the guts to state that Kenyans did it. They killed people and nothing happened to them. What do you expect to happen to us? So, and it is also important to note that our president is the current chairperson of the EAC.
Indeed.
So he is setting a trend for us as Kenyans for 2027. Are we just going to sit here and watch ourselves get killed? The solution is to cut off the head. Take Ruto home, then Kenya will change. Then things will begin to be different, because even look at the state of the appointments that Ruto is doing. He is awarding the people who helped him escape the ICC. He is awarding them. Those who helped him escape the fact that he killed people in Kiambaa in a church. And he did the same thing yesterday. He killed a child in a church. History has a way of repeating itself. And if we're not careful, then 2027 will look a little like 2007.
Do you believe? I mean, the things that we're saying, again, that are around us having this conversation, is that you cannot be too careful about life.
Yes.
Yeah.
The current conversations that are being had in government today, it's interesting because there is a PG meeting this morning at State House.
Yeah. Yes.
And the marriage of ODM and UDA that would give birth, supposedly, to, I don't know what kind of blood-based offspring. Broad-based. You said
Blood.
Okay. The number one agenda, or the number one item on the broad-based agenda, is the stoppage of this very thing that we're talking about today. That's the number one item.
Yes.
And I don't think that made its way to the top just because, they lacked anything to do number one.
No.
But I mean, it was clear that there was an issue with people being disappeared. I mean, I'm still talking about Mukuria till today. Mukuria his mother doesn't know where he is. She disappeared on 25th of June. That's the last time she saw him till today. Man has not turned up, dead or alive, doesn't know where he is.
Massacre.
Okay? So they don't know where he is.
Yes.
Okay? So that was one of the first things that they said they're going to handle. The extrajudicial killing. So in this marriage, one of the offspring would have been that you see this thing come to an end. Yeah. One would have said, you shouldn't even have waited until you guys got married. Have this child out of wedlock.
Yes.
Have this child of ending extrajudicial killings out of wedlock. That one will forgive you.
Yes.
Stop it. Because one person dying in this manner is too many people dying.
Yes.
So is there you can actually look at somebody and say, okay, we forgive you because we can see that you have an intent. We can see that you have a good mind for it. Does that exist?
For before even we sit down to deliberate on issues on the same, we have to ask ourselves, do they have goodwill on the same?
Absolutely. Can you see it? Because goodwill you can see.
We can't see goodwill, both in the ODM and UDA government. Only Baba was the one who was trying to fight against extrajudicial killings. But right now, these people are trying to set their political scores. They're trying to seal their political reputation on how Kenyans are supposed to see them. Matters of extrajudicial killings, they don't need leaders to even sit down on State House to address or to get even budgets for funding those sittings. Such matters, they need actions. They need immediate actions. And the immediate action starts from the top, our president, and goes below to even people like Inspector General, Deputy Inspector General, and his officers. Allow me to speak about Bill Kaunda. Bill Kaunda was a pharmacy student and a student leader in Mount Kenya University. Bill Kaunda was just walking around Raila Odinga Way, and he was walking on the pedestrian side.
Yeah.
So there's this guy who came from behind and knocked Bill Kaunda at high speed. So by the time we are getting the information that Bill has been knocked, he's already taken at KNH. So first of all, we were asking ourselves, who's this guy who knocked Bill? So we had to go to the precinct, the first instance. And what the precinct was saying is Bill was on a motorcycle and fell.
Okay.
So for us, we were supposed to now focus on post-mortem so that we get to understand the impact.
Yeah.
But we are asking ourselves, if we have pictures of the deceased, mango zake ziko kwa crime scene, and we don't even have a copy of even a plastic of a motorcycle, what does that mean?
There was no motorcycle.
There was no motorcycle. So it showed us that, first of all, they don't have a goodwill. even the station itself. So we were asking ourselves, who is this person who's even making stories, even planting witnesses to favor the narrative? So that's why we started that march, so that we can fight for justice. And as we speak right now, they are doing a delay tactic, Langata Police Station, a delay tactic to delay us from getting justice for Bill, because the guy, they say he's a big person, or he knows big people in the national government. And I'm trying to ask, the citizens have power over the government. We are the government. So ukisema sijui wewe ni nani, so that you can run away from justice, that means that anyone can wake up and kill anyone in this country and buy their justice. And that is not the country we want for our children. We want a country that our children are living in a dignified environment, not an environment that it is not adhering to their needs. So we are marching tomorrow in the favor of justice for Bill in Thika. And we are going to also perform our constitutional rights, as we also call IPOA, because we can't have a whole body that is just acting like as if they don't know what they're supposed to do.
Sophie, I have the question. Do you believe that, let me give you an example. I'm a cabinet secretary for health, that I should be cabinet secretary for health if I have a hospital?
A hospital or a medical background? Those are two different things.
A hospital.
A hospital. If you're a medic, yes, you should be CS of health.
Conflict of interest?
If you own a hospital, absolutely no.
Absolutely
Conflict of interest, no, if you're a medic, because then you would know what your fellow medics need.
All right. I am a cabinet secretary for transport. Right? Should I be in Matatu business?
No.
No.
Why?
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest.
Yes.
We live in a country today where you find individuals manning government entities that they have conflict of interest in because they own facilities that would benefit from share money, And I give an example for me where there is clear, blatant disrespect of the law and what ought to be done. The president has a son who's a businessman. He's into Matatu business, right?
Yeah.
Why do I bring that up? I don't have a problem with him running business. But then again, for a country that Matatu is a business, that we know very well is disrespecting the law, one would hope that the first son would be in the forefront in respecting the laws of the land. But what have we been treated to? That he is the one leading in breaking that very law in the first place. That today we have individuals in ministries doing business with government against the law. That today you would find an individual walking into an office and saying, Mimi, I will not even queue because I am so and so. We see individuals in traffic doing the wrong side, but who will permit them to go? It is a police officer because so and so is a member of parliament, so and so is a cabinet secretary, simply because they are above the law. Do we have two sets of citizens?
You see, the current regime fought against this constitution. They did not want anything to do with this constitution. So, of course, they would be the first to do anything and everything possible to go against this constitution. It is important to say the Senate passed that government officials can do business with government while still in government. But it is also to say that we have one arm of government that is letting down the people of Kenya, and that is the judiciary. They need to wake up and protect this constitution. The parliament has failed to do its duty to protect this constitution. The executive is using the parliament to mutilate this constitution. So the only arm of government that we're left with, I also believe the media is the fourth arm of government, but other than you guys, the judiciary needs to wake up, because if they don't, then we're on our own as citizens. But you know what? The constitution gives the people of Kenya all sovereign power. So this, for me, is a reminder to every Kenyan citizen that you have the power. The power is yours. The constitution has given you the power, which you can exercise directly or indirectly. It starts with directly. So if all arms of government fail you, then you need to look within yourself and see how you can directly exercise your power.
Have we let ourselves and failed ourselves as Kenyans?
We have failed ourselves because we're at that point where we are so busy. We are so controlled in terms even of our own material conditions that we're willing to take money to keep quiet. We're willing to give money to keep quiet. So, like, that, what needs to happen here is class suicide. The upper class, the upper echelon, the middle class, they need to come together and realize today it could be their child, tomorrow it could be my child who's killed, who's abducted. The ones who are here below need to stop really concentrating on the fact that they don't have food to eat, but consider the fact that, hey, if we all come together, class suicide happens, we come together, then everything changes. We say no lies, we expose all the lies, we move towards changing our conditions of the country. And allow me to lastly say on the issue of ODM and UDA, the fact that Mama Ida Odinga is actually considering to take up the role that she's been given by Ruto, in fact, she was very happy yesterday in church, just goes to show who was misleading Raila the entire time. Pillow talk would sound like chukua tu hiyo pesa. Gen Z wamekufa lakini chukua tu hiyo pesa. We need it. So Raila took advantage of the blood of Kenyans in 2017, in 2025. So ODM needs to wake up and rebrand their modus operandi. Otherwise, when UDA goes down, they will go down with it, and UDA is going to go down, and Ruto is going home. That is a fact. By all means necessary.
Well, okay.
Well.
And with that, what we're going to do, if you'll allow us some wiggle room, is that we're going to hear from the minds, thoughts of Kenyans who will call us and tell us, we could be the four of us in this room thinking that the state of the security is terrible. But people might actually think, I'm fine.
We're fine. Yeah.
Okay. So let us hear from people what it is that you actually think. And we're going to do that when we come back after the hour. Sophie and Frederick stay on with us to continue that conversation for a little bit. Let's hear from you guys as well moving forward. Good morning, 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.